Right. So let's come to the topic. The first topic that we'll discuss today is snapshots and tracks. Okay, and then we'll move into the debugging things. Right. So I believe now at the moment you guys can see my screen and you see that we have opened or I have opened the process center or the workflow center. Now here what we see the list of different process applications and say Mind Magic Sandbox. The first application that we can see, say there are say 10 to 12 developers who are working on this project. Okay. Now there is a requirement that we need to complete all our development by so and so date, and we need to do a deployment to some environment, right? So last day we saw that if we need to deploy something, then definitely the first thing that we have to do is take a snapshot, right? And how do we take a snapshot, or how did we take a snapshot? We need to go to the web PD. You have to go inside this application, and at the top you have this first symbol which looks like a camera, right? And if you hover your mouse on top of it, it says snapshot. So if I click on it, it would ask me to provide a name, and that name I can provide in any format. That is totally up to me. So even in many projects there are specific rule to provide the namespace or to provide the name for a snapshot. Like in my project, we give a snapshot name as per the date, right? So it becomes unique automatically. So today, if I'm taking a snapshot, say today is 25th of October, then I can give the snapshot name like this: 25.10.21 underscore. We provide the name of the acronym of this application you can provide. Okay, that's something you can. And we then after this underscore we provide say we have a release, say next month. Okay, so we provide here 21.11, and then we give the acronym name. Say the acronym name is say MS01, like this. So different type of ways are there to provide the snapshot name. It is up to you, you provide, but yes, definitely it has to be unique and it has to be meaningful. Okay, so like this, if you provide a snapshot name, then you click on finish and the snapshot gets created. Now let me open a notepad. Now say I created some snapshot. Let me provide an easy names. Say leave application version 1.0. Say this is a snapshot name. Now this snapshot, say I deployed to some testing environment, say QA. Okay. Now here is the environment where I deployed this snapshot. Now say the testers, they are testing in the QA environment before a release. They need to do the testing and regression. Everything needs to be done. So I hope you guys are aware of these terms, regression or testing and everything. You guys are aware. Regression is something, say in this application Mind Magics, say whatever we are doing, say we developed a process, say leave application process. Okay, and there we have the different activities: employee activity and manager activity, right? Now say there is a requirement where we need to add some more features. Say initially we had the drop down, and that drop down needs to be replaced with the type ahead for the employee activity. So say for this release we are doing just this change, this much change we are doing, right? Now when I am a developer, I have completed development, the first thing that we need to do is to do the unit testing, right? So we create the process and we see whether the drop down, which was initially it was a drop down, now it's a type ahead, whether it is working properly or not. If it is working properly, then we are good from the developer's point of view, and we deploy the same thing to the QA environment. Now the testers, they will test this feature first, that whether your this whatever the feature has been added, that replacement of this drop down with a type ahead, whether that is working or not. After they find out that it is working, then they will do a regression on the entire application. They will trigger the process, then the instance will be created. They will claim the task of the employee. They will fill up all the details. They will submit the application. Then the manager would claim the task and they will see whether all the details are coming or not, right? So regression means complete end-to-end testing of the flow. Just to make sure that yes, the developers, they have added just one feature, but they have to make sure that all the other things are working properly, even if you have done a very small change. Okay, so this generally we call it as a regression testing, and usually the testers do the regression testing. Now say the testers, they are doing regression testing, and our leave application version 1.0 is deployed in QA environment, and they are doing regression on top of it. Now they found some issue. They found that few details are not coming properly to the manager task. Okay, few details are coming as null or blank. So they dropped us an email saying that this is the issue, and now we the developers, what we need to do, we need to go back to our code and rectify it. Okay, now within this time, within the time we have deployed, we will never wait, right? I have deployed something to QA environment, the developers will not wait till the testers will come back with some issue. Again, some new features will be given to us, some new requirement will be given to us, right? And we obviously we have to start our development, right? So we are also doing the development for the new feature. So we have a release on say November first week, and again we have a release on November last week. Okay, so the November first week release snapshot is already deployed to QA environment where the testers were doing the testing and they found some issue, and we are already starting the development for the last week release of November. The developers, they're already doing the development. Now suddenly the issue comes, the testers, they tell us that, hey, whatever you guys have deployed, we found this issue. Now obviously we have a release November first week. For that we had already deployed, now a bug has come, we have to fix that bug, right? So where do we need to fix a bug? Because already some new features we have added, and now we have to tell the developers, hey, please comment out all your code for those new features, please fix it first and then do it, right? So this is a very bad thing. I mean, this is something which we don't follow. That's the reason we have something called track in IBM BPM. By the term track, just forget about the non-technical part. Just forget about the technical part, not the non-technical. Track is, say, we see the railway tracks, and we see that when the train travels, the railway track gets divided, gets splitted, right? The train can travel into any other track easily from one track, right? And they can again come back to this main track once again. Now in IBM BPM, if I show you, if I go back to my designer, whatever development we do it on top of the main track. This is your main track basically. Whenever you uh, go to your process center, and whenever you try to open these applications in any designer, whenever you click on it, it takes you inside the main track. And we the developers, we generally start all our development in the main track only. Now in case while we are adding some new features for the upcoming release, but some bug has come in the middle, in that case, how do we fix that bug? Okay, let's see that. So I'll go back once again to the process center. And last day, the way I went and showed you guys, like after the snapshot gets created, how to export it. So we'll go over there. Just click on top of this application. It will take you to the snapshots, whatever you have created, right? Now, just see, this is a snapshot which we created today. Okay, just leave this thing out. Say this is a snapshot which we deployed to UAT. And now we have to also fix the bug. Whatever has been deployed, you have to fix the bug on top of it, as well as we have to allow the developers in our team that yes, they should go ahead with the new features. They should not wait till we fix the bug. They should keep on going and doing the development in this application. So how can that be done? Thing is very simple. This is a snapshot. You see the next to it, there is the drop down. And here you have the different options. Okay. And one of the option is definitely create track, which is not coming at the moment. So for that, whenever you don't see this option, create track, you have to come to this option called manage. Okay. At the tops, you have the snapshots, history, manage, governance. You have to come to manage. On the right hand side, you see there is an option called allow users to create tracks in this process application. I need to enable this option. If I enable this option, then at any point of time, I can create a track for this process application. Okay. So this is the first thing we need to do. If you need to create a track, come to manage, click on top of your process application, come to the manage option, and then you enable this option called allow users to create tracks in this process app. After you have done this, then you can go back again to this first tab called snapshots. Now, if I click on this drop down, now I get an option of new track over here. Okay, so this snapshot was deployed to the QA environment. We found some issue. And if I have to fix this issue right away, then what I can do, I can create a track from here. I can give a name to this track, say bug fix. And it's a very good thing if you can add some documentation over here. Okay. Usually for tracks, we provide a documentation. Just you add one line why you are creating this track. Maybe you want to fix some issue. So what is that issue? Just to explain in one line. And you can write that we are doing a bug fix for this issue. And then you click on create. Whenever you click on create, a track gets created at the backend. And then I'll show you how to go inside that track and how we can do our development. So I'll go back once again to the process app. And now if I click on open in designer, it will first ask me which track do I need to go inside. The developers who are working on the new features for the last week November release, they will go inside the main track. But I am a developer who is working on the fix. I will go inside this track. Okay, I will go inside this track. I have selected this. I'll come down and click on open. Whatever track you can see right now, this is where I need to fix my code. Okay, so here whatever features were already there, I have to go and fix the code. And once I fix the code, then what I need to do again, I create a snapshot. Okay, from here again I create a snapshot, and then again I can deploy this to the QA environment and tell the testers that now you can proceed with the testing. We have fixed the code and we have deployed to QA environment. They will now again continue the testing. If there is some issue, they will let us know. Again, we need to go inside this track. We have to fix anything. Again, I create a snapshot and deploy to the QA environment. Now, the reason why track was introduced in IBM BPM, this is an old feature, something we started from the time when IBM BPM was introduced. And very similar feature is also there in Java. If any one of you have ever worked in Java, there is something called branch. Okay, whenever the developers they are creating something, they are doing some development, then they also create branches, and over in the branches they can fix the code, and that branch they can deploy to any environment, and later on they have to merge that branch with the main branch. Here also we have to do the same thing. I have fixed my code over here, right, in this track, but my issue is still there in the main track, right, where the developers are doing adding the new features. So I need to sync this issue, whatever fix I'm doing here, I have to sync that fix with the main track as well. Okay, we'll discuss about that later on, how to uh, sync your issue automated in an automated way. And there are two ways we can sync these issues, sync this fix. One is definitely the easiest one that we developers will do. Whatever changes I'm adding here, manually I'll go inside the main track and manually I'm going to add those changes, whatever change I'm adding here in this track. Another way is also there, which I'm going to show you later on, that is in an automated way, without going and adding the code manually. Still, I can sync any changes made in any track with the main track. That also can be done. This has a less overhead, less risk is there, and this can be done from the process center only, not from the designer, not from your web designer. It can only be done from your process center. How it is done, we will see later. But the concern is whether we are able to understand what is track. Did we all understand what is track?
Yes,
Any? Okay. Any doubts or questions, guys? Anyone? Okay.
Rahul, can you tell again about the tracks?
Okay. So generally when we do our development, okay, when we are starting, when we are first creating the process application, say a new project has come. Okay. So we are here like 20 people, a new project has come. Okay. We belong to some organization XYZ, and a new project has come, and we all going to start our development as a developer. And the first thing that we do, like I said, you guys, right at the beginning of all our sessions, the first thing that we do is creating a process application. That is the first and foremost thing. Then after that, we go inside and we create all the artifacts and everything, right? Now, say we started the development, say from March. The project came in March, and we are like 20 people. We are doing the development from March to say this is October. So from March to October, we did all the development. We completed the process and everything, human services, processes, services, everything has been completed, whatever the client has asked for. Now we have a release on the first week of November, right? Now, say in this October month, we completed all the development. Definitely there will be a target time, like by this day or by this time, you have to complete all your development and you deploy all the changes to the testing environment where the testers will do the testing. After the testers tell you that, hey, everything is fine, everything is working properly, then we go for the release. That is a production release. That is how the projects work in everywhere. Okay. Now, whenever you deploy some snapshot to a testing environment, don't think that you have to sit and wait till the testers will come and tell you that, hey, this is the bug. We cannot wait. Unfortunately, developers has to develop all the time. They don't have any free time. Okay. So we deploy something to the testing environment. Again, some new features will come to us. The client will give you again some new development work, right? So parallelly again, say we have 20 people, say 17 people out of 20, they started the new changes again on the main track, on this track. Okay. Now, after 2 to 3 days of testing, the testers, they send us an email saying that, hey, this manager activity which you have developed, I don't see all the details are coming from the employee. Can you please look into the issue? An email will come with some screenshots and everything. Then those 2 to 3 people who are not doing the development for the new features, why they are there, they have been kept in the team that you guys will be there. If there is any kind of issue will come, you guys need to go and fix it. Now, will they fix it on the main track? The answer is no, because already some new features have been introduced by the 17 developers for the next release, right? And it is very unfair to tell them that, hey, whatever code you have added, please comment out all the code. So their effort will go into vain, right? So in that case, what we do, we create a track. Whatever snapshot you deploy to the testing environment, on top of that, we create a track. And how we can create a track? Again, we'll go to the process center. Whatever snapshot you have taken, we can view it from here. Click on top of it. So here we have the main track. So this is a snapshot, say, which I deployed to the testing environment, this one. So you can click on it here. Here you have the new option called new track. Click on it, give the track name, whatever track gets created, say bug fix is the name of the track. Then you can go inside that bug fix track and there you can fix the issue. After you have fixed the issue, again a snapshot needs to be taken and deployed to the QA environment once again. Okay, so this way we are not disturbing the developers who are doing the changes for the November release, the last week November release, and I can freely go. If I'm a person who will fix the issue, I can freely go and create a track and there I can fix it, take a snapshot and deploy once again to the QA environment for further testing. Are we good, Ram Kumar?
Yes, Raghu.
Okay. All right. Now we'll discuss about these different debugging components that we have in IBM BPM. First is your process inspector, and then we'll discuss about the REST API. Now coming to the process inspector, first thing that we should know that whenever uh, a new project comes, right, which means that before that the client will maybe you guys will be aware of this thing. Say when a project first comes, there are different organizations who will actually try to get that project, right? There are different ways they do some bidding and everything. Say we are working for say XYZ company and they have got a project say from Mercedes, right? Now we are going for a release on the first week of say November, and we have deployed our changes to the QA environment where the testing is going on currently. Now whenever the customer purchase the license, okay, of this IBM product, IBM BAW product, they will install this product into different environment. One environment will be development environment where we will be doing the testing and the development obviously. Second will be the testing environment. Generally in big projects, you will have multiple testing environment. Okay. So say we have in our project, we have like 3 different testing environment. And for each environment, the testers, they have to do the testing. We have QA1, we have QA7, and then we also have something called QAP, which is the performance. They will deploy the change over there just to check the performance, whether everything is opening properly, the coach is not taking longer time to open. Okay, all this performance related things will be taken care in the QAP. After testers tell that, hey, everything is working fine, then we deploy finally into the production environment, which means you can understand that for each of this environment, there will be separate installation of IBM BPM. Correct, right? So that's say the installable which I provided to you guys. Now you install that in your local system. That's your development environment. Then you have another environment which you are creating where you are again installing it for the testing purpose. Okay, that's again your testing environment. The same tool you have to install again in another environment that you can call as the production environment, right? So in case if I have to open these components, we have to access these components like process center, process admin, process inspector, REST API, process portal. All these components will be available for each of this environment, right? We need to be clear on this thing. Okay, so all these tools, all these components, whatever we have seen, this will be installed, this will be there for each of this environment: developer environment, testing environment, production environment. If some issue comes, if an instance fails in the QA environment, we have to go to the process inspector of QA environment to check the issue. Similarly, if some issue comes in the production, then I have to go to the process inspector of the production environment to check the issue, right? Definitely you will not have the access to the process inspector of production, so you might have to take the help of the infra team or whoever has access, because production environment the developers will never have the access. Okay, for any of these components, be it process center, be it your process admin, be it your process inspector, REST API. You will never have access for any of these tools in production environment. That's a different story. Let's leave that aside. So if I open the notepad, first let me show you the URLs. Okay, so this is the process inspector URL, HTTPS, followed by this colon and double slash. Then you have the host name, followed by again semicolon, and then we have the port number, followed by again front slash, and then we have the process inspector. Okay, so this is the URL for the process inspector, and here is the URL of the BPM REST API. So same URL till here. At the end we have BPM REST dash UI. Okay, let me share this with you guys in the chat. Now let us go to the inspector. So first we will see the inspector, and then we'll understand what exactly or how we can debug an issue in the inspector. So this is basically my process inspector. And on the left hand side, we have few filters. And in the middle, right now it says welcome to process center and everything. Here we will able to see the instances. You guys have seen this before. If you remember, when I was doing the development and showing you guys, whenever I was running the process, the inspector view was opening for the development environment, right? Over there, I was showing you the instances and the task details and everything. But today we will see in details what exactly we get over here in this process inspector. Okay. So first of all, on the left hand side, okay, first of all, which is the other way we can go to the process inspector? One way is definitely if you're aware of the URL, then definitely it's good. If we are not aware of the URL, then in that case, how can I go to the process inspector? So for that, we have something called process admin. Here is my process admin, right? We have seen this before. Here in the middle, we have something called process inspector. You see at the top, next to server admin, you have process inspector. If you click on it, it will take you to process inspector. Okay, this is one way. And the second way is definitely that we have already know the URL. If we are good with the URL, then definitely we can directly put it in this here, and then we can go straight to the inspector. Now, on the left hand side, the first thing that we see at the top is the search bar. In the search bar, say the testers who are testing, right? They will tell you that, hey, this manager activity is not working, or maybe something is not working. And they will also give you, or they might give you the instance ID of that instance where on which they found the issue, right? So what we can do, we can directly put the instance ID over here in the search bar, and we can click on search. Okay, say let me just see if we have anything. Say 154 here is the instance ID which I can see. So if I need to find out the instance ID, or if I need to find out the instance details of this instance ID 154, you can simply type it here, refresh, and you see this instance is visible. And then you debug on the left right hand side, you have all these things, all these details, which we are going to discuss later on today itself, where we can find out few details, and using those details we can fix the issue. Okay, now here is the search bar where we can put the instance ID and search for. Next, what we have something called status. These are the different status of an instance. Okay, if I have to find out which are the active instances, or how many active instances are there in this server, simply we can click on active. You have to remove this search thing, whatever you have entered at the top, click on refresh, it will show you how many active instances are there in this environment. Okay, so I can see here two active instances are there. One is instance ID 58 receiver process, and the other is leave application process 154 is the instance ID. So two instances are active in this environment. Similarly, if I have to find out how many are completed, I can simply select completed, click on refresh. This will give me or show me how many instances are completed in this environment. Right now we can see 4 instances are completed in this environment. Okay, like this you have the other uh, options also, other status also. You also have something called failed. If I have to find out how many have been failed, right now I can see 0. Nothing has failed till now. Say something fails, that also I can see it over here. Okay, so I will do something. Since we are working on the inspector, which is mainly used for the debugging purpose, I will purposely go to my application and I'll try to create one instance which will fail. Okay, so what we will do, leave application process. I think I added a lot of exception handling last day. So I'll remove this exception handling. Because what will happen if you remove this exception handling, or if the exception handling is still there, the instance will not fail, right? So I want the instance to fail, so I am removing all this exception handling things. And for this employee human service, I am going to add some error. Okay, and coming back here, yeah, it's already saved. So leave application process now has error. If I try to run this, an instance will be created. 204 is the instance ID, you see guys. Now if I go back to the inspector here, if I click on say active, if I click on refresh, now we have the third instance 204. Today I had just now created. Now as soon as I try to claim it, it will fail, right? So I'll go back once again here. I'll try to claim it and the entire instance should fail. I can see here it failed already, this task. And if I close this, this instance has already failed. You can see the status now. On the right hand side, it says failed. Now if I go back to the inspector, now if I click on refresh, now you see active now has 2, which was earlier 3. And now I can see 1 has moved to this failed status. Let me try to find it out. Okay, so this instance has failed. And guys, this is how it looks like when you inspect an instance in the process inspector. When a failed instance, if you're trying to inspect, this is how it looks like in the inspector. Okay, we'll discuss on how we can retry this instance and everything. But before that, what we can see here, we can see some error details, right? I can see the error message over here itself. So if I'm a developer, if I'm a person from the support team, if I can log into the inspector, then definitely this is the place where we can see what error has come. And also after fixing the code and after deploying the fixed code to the testing environment, I can also retry this failed instance from process inspector. I can once again try to make it active. From failed to the active status, I can do it from the process inspector. Okay, how to do it, we'll come to that. We'll come to that later. Now what other features we have, what other filters we have, let's cover them. So the next filter that we have is severity type. And what we have here, overdue. And then what we have at risk, right? So what is overdue? Overdue is definitely, you can understand that we have some due date. Say today is, what is today's date? Today is 25th of October. Say the instance which we create today, the due date is say 27th of October, which is 2 days from now. Okay. Now, whenever it becomes 28th of October and the instance which was supposed to be completed by 27th, then the state or the severity of the instance becomes overdue because the due date has already crossed. So the instance goes to the severity type of overdue. Okay. And what is at risk? Like we have overdue, we also have something called at risk. At risk is very simple. We need to complete an instance say by 27th of October. Say today is 27th of October and the instance is still active, which means the instance is at risk. Okay. So we need to complete the instance by today. That is the due date. Say today is 27th of October. Then the instance will have a severity type called at risk. And whenever it becomes 28th of October, then definitely the instance severity type changes to overdue. Okay. Very simple things. So if you need to find out if any instance is overdue in this environment, select it, click on refresh, and I can see these two instances are overdue. They were supposed to be completed, guys, by 22nd of October, and today is 25th of October. That's the reason these instances are overdue. This also was supposed to be completed on 20th of October, but still it is active. That's the reason it is overdue. Okay, we are good. Any questions on the status and the CV type filter on anything we discussed? Yes.
Rahul, we can edit here due date. Here it says.
Yes. Yes, we can do everything over here. We will come to that. Yes, we can definitely edit the due date from the inspector. Don't look on the right hand side. Right now, let's concentrate on the left hand side. Okay. I will definitely come to the right hand side today itself. Okay. All right. So we are good with these filters, whatever we have covered. Now we move into the main filter, one of the main filters over here called process application. In this process application, we see the list of applications which are available in this environment. Okay. This is an authoring environment, and we see the list of applications like Heritage Process Portal, Performance, Hiring Sample, Discover BPM UI Sample, Hiring Sample Advanced, Procurement Sample, and then we have our own application called Mind Magic's Sandbox. Right? So in this Mind Magic Sandbox is where we did all the development, and always you will have these applications, guys, starting from the first one till Procurement Sample. These are the applications which IBM BPM provides you. Whenever you install the IBM BPM product, this applications will definitely be there. If you guys are working on the BAW trial version, even there also you have the different applications apart from yours, and few of them are system defined applications which IBM BPM provides you for reference. Tomorrow, if you want to refer some development, maybe you are not aware how to do it, you can go inside these applications and look for those artifacts which you try to develop in your own application. Okay, that's the reason they have provided you all these things. Now, if I have to find out which are the active instances of this specific application, I can select from the top active in the status. Usually in a big account, okay, say if you're working in accounts, say Mercedes-Benz or some other big accounts are there, you will see different stakeholders are working. If I talk about my project, I work for Morgan Stanley, so there are different stakeholders who are working in this project. Few teams will be there for that from TCS, few team will be there from Accenture, some are there from Capgemini, some are there from the other companies like Genpact, Headstrong. All these different organizations are working together for a single account, Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley has multiple IBM BPM applications. I am working from TCS. TCS looks after two applications. Accenture is also working for Morgan Stanley. They are also working on other different applications. But the environments are same for all of us. If today I have to deploy something to production, the production environment, this production environment will be same for Accenture also, same for Capgemini also, same for the other stakeholders also, right? So whenever, what is the reason why I'm discussing this? Whenever you log into the process inspector, here you will see the list of all the applications which are available in this environment. You need to select only the application which you are working on. That's the reason this filter is there. Okay, so if I'm working on this Mind Magic sandbox, then I have to select only this, and then only I want to find out which are active, which are failed, which are suspended, which are terminated. Okay, so utilize these filters properly. You need to understand which application you are working on. Just select that application, and then if you click on refresh, then whatever instances are available for this specific application in this environment, that will be displayed as a list in the middle. Okay, are we good here?
Yes,
Yes,
Ram.
Ram.
Okay, now I'll just add one more thing. This is a authoring environment, this is a development environment, right? Generally in the testing environment, whenever you log into the testing environment, say QA7 inspector or QA1 inspector or production inspector, like you see all the different applications, you will also have a plus sign just before here. Same before this Mind Magic sandbox, you will have a plus sign. If you click on the plus sign, it will show you the list of snapshots which you have deployed from this application to this environment. So additionally, you can also select a snapshot. Like I'm selecting here the application, I have a checkbox. Similarly, we'll also get a checkbox for all those different snapshots. Okay, I will show you this from a live environment. So I have a plan, later on I will show you. So over there, I'll show you some QA environment where the different applications are there. And if you expand that application, you will see whatever snapshots you have deployed till now in the QA environment. You will see the list of all those snapshots. So additionally, you can also add a filter. You can select that snapshot and you can find out which are the active instances, or which are the failed instances, or which are the completed instances from that snapshot. Okay. So I believe we are good with the filters till now, whatever we have discussed. Now comes the next filter called person. Person is something, say, we have this leave application and we have these two activities in leave application called employee activity and manager activity. Now say Noor Basha, say he is the manager. Okay, say Parvez has applied for a leave, and now Noor claimed the task of the manager and was about to say click on approve, something failed. Okay, so the instance got failed. Now what I can do, I can, if I'm a developer, I can come back here to this inspector, and here I can provide the full name of Noor or the username of Noor, and I can find out the instance ID. So basically, you can also find out an instance with the help of the username or the full name of the end user who was trying to access the task, or who was trying to participate in the process, basically. Okay, so if I'm part of the employee team, and if I was say I have claimed some employee task, now if I have to find out which instance that is, then I can provide my name over here, and I can try. You see, I just put my name, automatically my full name popped up over here, right? So I can find out which are the instances where I am involved, where I might have claimed but I did not, maybe because of some issue, maybe because of I was busy, I did not complete that task. So I can find out what are the instance IDs where I am involved in. Okay, so here I'll remove the filters. I'll just put my name, and if I click on refresh, so this 4 instances I was involved in. Okay, one has failed because I was trying to claim it. Definitely my name will be there, right? And then we have this active instance, another active instance, leave application, where I might have claimed some task. That's the reason it's showing under my name. My timer application, I believe this one I was showing you guys few days back, right? So there also I was trying to claim some task. That's the reason it is showing in my name. Okay, so basically you can also filter out with the help of some username over here, username or full name. Okay, coming to this filter, we use very less. We use it very rarely. It is up to you whether you want to use it or not.
Your voice is breaking,
But
Rahul.
definitely you can
Yes, Rahul.
filter
Yes,
it out
Rahul.
with
Yes, Rahul.
username.
Your voice is breaking,
Your
Rahul.
voice is breaking, Rahul.
Last but yes.
Your voice is breaking, Rahul.
Mhm. Okay. Sorry, voice is breaking. Is it fine now?
Yes, Rahul.
Yes, Rahul.
Okay. Just a moment, guys. Okay. Okay, guys, let me know once your jokes are over. I can see people smiling. Let me know if everything is done, then we can continue.
Yes, Rahul, you can continue.
Done, guys? All right, thank you. Okay, so I believe we are good till now, whatever we have learned, right?
Yes, Rahul.
Okay. All right, coming back to the last filter on the left hand side that we have is last modified date. And we have from date, and then we have to date. What is this from date and to date? I'll give an example. Say your manager has said you that, hey, we deployed something to production last week, right? Say we deployed something on 19th of October, and I want to find out the instances which are active between 19th of October till 22nd of October. So definitely I have this thing filter. I can select the dates and everything. I have the time also I can select. Okay, and here to date also I have. Say 22nd is the date. So 19 to 22nd, I click on refresh, and then I see only those instances which are completed, active, or failed in between these dates. Okay, simple things. So not explaining much. If you have any question, you can ask me. And yes, they definitely, if I have to remove this filter, this date, you have an eraser next to this. You see clear date and time. Click on it. This date and time will be cleared. Right? Okay, good. All right, now we come to the failed instance debugging. So first of all, whenever an instance, whether it's active or completed or failed or suspended at any state, if I need to find out the instance details in the inspector, after you have found out the instance over here, you have to click on it. Whenever you click on it, on the right hand side, the details of the instance pops up. We have seen this kind of details, very similar kind of details where in the web designer, right? We have two different views in the web designer. One is the designer view and the other is the inspector view. And in the inspector view, we have seen this kind of details before, right? What we have at the top, we have the name of the instance, leave application process followed by colon, and then we have the instance ID, right? And where do we name this? I have said you guys before, go to your process, go to the overview of the process. Here is your instance name. Okay, you can change this instance name at any point of time. Whenever you are creating some instance, automatically this instance name also gets created. IBM BPM creates it for you. But if you have to change this anytime, you can change it from here. Okay, going back once again. Then we have the name of the process, right? Leave application process. Then we have the name of the process application. And then what we have here, what we see this called tip. Tip is nothing but the default snapshot of your application. Whenever I first create the process application, and if I'm running any instance, if I'm triggering the process and creating any instance inside that application, all those instances gets created on top of the default snapshot called tip. Whenever you deploy your snapshot to say testing environment, say this is a testing environment. Okay, for the time being, let's consider this as a testing environment. Say this is a QA environment, and I have deployed some snapshots, say leave application version 1.0. Here it will show you that name, which means in a testing environment or in a production environment, this part will tell you the name of the snapshot on which this instance was created. Okay, since it's a developer environment, that's the reason it is showing me as tip. What we have next, we have the instance ID. 204 is the instance ID, I can see. Then I have the status of the instance, which is failed right now. If you need to find out the error details, you can click on next error details. You will see the error over here. Okay, a lot of things are written. You can look at it later. Snapshot ID, error timestamp, when the error has come, what is the instance ID, what was the task ID, all these things you can see. And here you have an export error. If you want to export it in Excel sheet, there also you can do it by clicking on this button. What else we have? Start time, when this instance was started. These details are very important, guys. I mean, in a production environment, these details are very, very important, especially if you have to analyze a failure. Then in that case, these details are important. Start time. Then what we have, last action. Last action will show you whenever somebody goes and claims the task, that is the last action on the instance. If the instance failed at any point of time, that time becomes your last action. Okay, so here last action is, so you can see 20 minutes ago the last action was taken, which means I possibly tried to claim this task 20 minutes ago. There was a last action that happened on this instance. Next, what we have due date. By this time I need to complete this instance. I can change this due date, like I said you, I can change it from the code. I can also change it from the inspector. You have this option. All right, when an instance fails, guys, you cannot change the due date. Only the instance, if it is in the active state, I can change the due date of the instance. Right now this instance has failed, and you see on the right hand side I don't see any option called modify due date. But if I pick up an active instance, say this is an active instance, It has not failed 154. Here I get the option of modify due date, which means always remember that for a failed instance, I can never change the due date of it. I can only change it for an active instance. And completed, I mean, there is no question of changing the due date of a completed instance, right? So let's ignore that. Okay, so now what else we have? Next, we have something called actions, and there are different actions that you can perform on this instance. First one is edit data. From the inspector, I can change the data. Say there is some issue with some data. Maybe some data I was expecting from some environment, from some external application, but somehow the data did not come, right? Now for testing purpose, I can add the data. I can modify the data. Any existing data is there. I can modify it. I can add some more data and I can check the instance. Okay. How I can modify it? Here, the last option we have is called data. And here we can see whatever process variables are there, it is showing me. So first is my employee information. Everything is null because I tried to claim on the first go my employee task and that only failed. That's the reason everything is null, right? And next we have task name and error, which also is like null, not set. Say if I want to set some data, I can add it over here. Say task name is employee. And if I need to save these changes, next to data, you have this update all option. It looks like a floppy disk, right? If I click on it, this details get saved for this variable. Okay. If I click on refresh once again, if I try to open the data once again, then I should be able to see employee value has been added to this variable name, right? So any kind of variable, any kind of value you want to add for a parameter, you can do it from the inspector. Even you can remove it, that also can be done. But make sure after adding or after removing, you have to click on this button. Okay, we are good. How to edit data inspector, we are good.
Yes,
Yes, Rahul.
Okay, good. All right, next what we have refresh. After adding any data, after doing any changes, if you there's a refresh button, you can refresh it and you can see it whether everything is there or not. Next we have retry failed steps. Now guys, this option only comes for a failed instance, right? Logically it will never come for an active or completed instance, but it will only come for a failed instance. And only try this only after you have fixed the issue. Okay, after the issue has been fixed, now this is an authoring environment. I don't have to do any deployment. But in case it's a testing environment or production environment, I should use this button, retry fail steps, only after I have deployed my fix, after the migration has been done from the old snapshot to the new snapshot, then only I can use this button, right? We will use this button just now. Let me complete everything, then we will see this. What else we have? We have terminate. I can terminate this instance at any point of time. And from where I can do it from the process inspector, right? Now, for the development environment, I could have also terminated an instance from the inspector view, right? There are two views again, designer and inspector. I can terminate an instance from the inspector view also. And from here also, I can terminate an instance. Okay. Not sure why people are so smiling today. I mean, let me know if this sounds very funny. The morning is not so funny. We lost yesterday to Pakistan, so for me it is not funny. So you guys, I don't know, some joke might be there going around in something. So I hope this whatever we are discussing, that is not a joke. That doesn't sound so funny here. Okay. All right. All good, guys?
Yes, Rahul.
Okay, good. All right. So now we have terminate and delete. Now again, guys, this option will come only for a failed instance. Terminate and delete. If I try to find out, for an active instance, say I want to find out only active instances. If I select them, then you see terminate is coming, but delete was not coming, right? For an active instance, whenever you terminate it, then only you can delete it from the inspector. Okay, always remember this. You can delete an instance from the inspector only after you terminate that instance. Given an instance is active, if I want to delete the instance, then the first thing I have to do is to terminate the instance, and then only the delete option will come. This is an active instance 154. On the right hand side, I don't see the delete option. I see only terminate. I terminate it, and then only I see delete option has come. Okay, and then I can go and delete this instance. But for a failed instance, I can terminate and delete it at the same time. You see, I have both terminate and delete option. Okay, so I can either terminate it or I can directly delete this instance also from the inspector. What else we have? We have tasks. The next option, we have tasks, like we have actions. We have something called task. I can see which task was active, which task is active, or which task has failed. And if I want to see the task details, I can go inside this employee task and I can see the task details. Okay, we'll soon go inside that and we'll see if we are able to see the task details. Okay, so here we have the employee task. I can see the task is assigned to my name and it is due 31 minutes from now. If I want to go and see what task or what task details are there, simply you can click on top of employee task, and now I'm actually inside the task details. Okay, you see the status of the task is received, who has been assigned this task, my name, what is the due date, this is the due date, by this time I need to complete this task. What is the priority of this task? It is normal. There are different priorities of a task: highest priority, high priority, medium priority, low priority, normal priority, lowest priority. So if you want to change the priority of a task, I can definitely change it from here. You have this option, modify priority, right? If you click on it, you can see the different priorities over here. You can change the priority at any point of time. Okay, so why do we have this priority option? Because if you see in the process portal, if you guys have seen, we have the different columns, right? And one of the column is priority, where based on the priority, I can actually claim my task and I can work on it. If I'm a manager, if I log into the process portal, I will be able to see if a task is of highest priority, I should first claim that task and I should complete that. That's the reason we have this priority option. Okay. Okay. What else we have here? Due date. Obviously, we discussed priority. We discussed, and like we have seen actions in case of an instance. Similarly, here we can see actions in case of this task. Okay. So here also we have edit data. You can change the data of your task. Again, if you think that yes, I need to add some data, something has got missed, or maybe something I was about to populate, but something I missed while populating it from the coach, I can definitely add that data over here. Okay, same way like we added, we have to add it here and then click on update all. Okay, this is about edit data. Modify due date. I can modify the due date of this task from the inspector. I have this date time picker. I can use the date time picker to change the date and time of the task. Okay, And then after you have changed it, now is 25th, that is my due date. I can make it say 28th of October. I can change the time to 2:15 a.m. And if I click on modify, automatically this due date gets changed. You see here, due date now changed to 28th of October, 2:15 a.m., which is 3 days from now. Earlier it was showing me 30 minutes from now. I just changed the due date here. Modify priority, we already saw. Reassign to user, which is a very good thing over here. I can assign this task to someone else in the team. Say Rahul is on leave, and maybe there is one more manager who is available. So I can reassign this task from Rahul to that manager from this process inspector. If someone goes on leave, so that the task does not wait, I can reassign the task to someone else from the same team. Yes, I have to make sure that the same person belongs to the same team. Say we have a manager team, and in this manager team, we have two people. One is say Vishal, and the other is say Sipana. Now, so the task was assigned to Vishal, but Vishal is on a holiday. So what Vishal can do, Vishal can log into the inspector, and he can assign this task. He can reassign this task to Sipana. Okay, so which means somebody else from the same team can take care of this task. Okay, so this is reassigned to user. Skip. Skipping also can be done. I can skip this entire activity and I can move on to the next activity. This also can be done, but something which we don't do, something which we should not do. Only under certain circumstances, if your lead comes to you and tells you that, hey, you do not need this activity for now, you can skip this, then in that case, we can definitely come and skip this task. Okay, so this employee activity where it got stuck, it has failed. If I think I want to skip this activity and move to the next activity, this manager activity, then definitely I can use this option skip. Okay, and then finally we have something called data, which we discussed. You can view the data. Right now nothing is there because employee activity is where it failed. Nothing could be populated because some error had come, right? That's the reason everything is null right now. But in a real time, I'll show you this instance only will fix the issue, and I'm going to retry this instance, and then you will see the data, everything will be there. Okay, so let's try to retry this instance. Okay, let us go and fix the code. So employee task, and in the script I had added some incorrect things, so I'll just remove it. I'll save it. Now obviously it's an authoring environment or development environment, so I don't need any deployment, right? I can simply now go to the inspector. Now you see here it has failed. On the right hand side, guys, you can see retry failed steps. This will only come for a failed instance. Now I'm going to click on it. Okay, so I retried it. After retrying, I'm going to click on refresh, and I can see the instance is once again active. Okay, so the first and foremost tool that we use, guys, to retry an instance, that is my process inspector. That is the first tool which we should look into it. If any instance fails, if I have to debug any kind of issue, I should first go into the inspector. If the inspector, from the inspector, you know, guys, at times, even if an instance fails, like we just use retry fail steps, right? At times what happens in kind of in case of few scenarios, your retry fail step will still not work even if you have fixed the issue. That time we go into the next component called REST API. Okay, so REST API we will discuss tomorrow. Today we will not discuss about the REST API. So the first and foremost tool that we need to use for any debugging purpose, any kind of cleanup, Any kind of cleanup means if I have to delete some instance, you have to terminate some instance, if I have to change some data due to which some data issue has come, I have to do it from the process inspector. Are we good with the process inspector? Anybody has any questions?
Rahul, I have a
Yes.
small doubt.
Mhm.
When a person reassigns a task to somebody else, how will that work? I mean, like, what are the details? Like, if a person is given to other person, what are the details need to be given?
No, nothing else is to be given. Say here we have the employee task. So this task is right now assigned to me. Now, say this is an employee task. Now, employee task, if I go, let us see if we have some team which I have added. Wait. So here is my employee lane. And I believe I added some employee team. Oh, I did not add anything. So here it will be easy because here we have a team called all users, and all users, it consists of so many people. And if I have to assign this task to say someone else, say for example, we have some user called Alex. This type is name. You get the name, click on reassign. Now this task is not assigned to me, it's assigned to Alex. So when Alex logs into process portal, now he will find this task in his work list. And if I log into my process portal now, this task will not be there in my work list. So only you have to make sure whatever user you are assigning or reassigning this task, the same person should belong to the same team where the existing user was. Okay. So we have this employee task. It has been mapped with the team say employee. And in the employee team, say we have Noor, we have Vishal, and we have Srinidhi. Now, say if the task was assigned to Srinidhi, and say if Srinidhi was not there, she was on some holiday, then definitely before going to a holiday, she can come to the inspector. She can click on reassign to user, and she can assign this task to anyone inside his team. That is either Vishal or Noor. Say you want to assign to someone else, say Sipana. So she is not there in the team. You cannot do it. It will not allow you. Okay.
Okay. Rahul.
And one more thing, say again, say I assign this to Alex. Now, unfortunately, Alex also went on a holiday, right? So that time what I can do, I can return this task directly back to my team. You see here an option called return to team. I can again click on it and I can make this available to all those users who are part of my team. So anyone now, whoever is available, they can log into the portal and they can work on this task.
Okay, Rahul. It's clear.
Okay. Okay. Any other doubts, guys?
Rahul,
Mhm.
we are terminating some here showing all whatever terminating failed process. If we deleted any process, is there any trash bin to see the deleted part?
No, unfortunately, no. If you delete one instance, that instance gets deleted also from the product database. We discussed about the BPM DB, right? Right at the beginning of our session, like we have different types of databases, performance data warehouse DB. Then we have BPM DB. So you see these instances whenever you're creating it, whenever some tasks are getting created, all those records will be stored in where? BPM DB automatically. We are not doing anything. IBM BPM is storing everything over there. But as soon as you delete an instance, that record also gets deleted from the BPM database. So there is no way you can recover that instance.
Thank you.
Yes, definitely. You can have an application DB where you can insert the record. So tomorrow, maybe after you delete this instance, if you have to go back and see what was the transaction and everything, you can check in the application database. But yes, you cannot recover it. I cannot get it back. All right. Okay, I believe we are good. So tomorrow we are going to complete this REST API. Okay, the next component for our production work and debugging everything. And then we'll discuss at the end about the use case.